Hi guys, welcome to Stitchity Doodle. It's Gail and
Miko.
in today's episode, I've got a lot of fun amigurumi to share with you, so stick around and let's get started. Before we get started, anything and everything that I mention in this video, I will have linked down below in the description box, so please check there for any information that you may be curious about. I am participating in a bear crochet along that's being hosted by Crystal of Chronically Crocheting here on YouTube. In this crochet along, you can choose either a paid for pattern or a freebie pattern. The paid for pattern is written by Lily Lees for the Pillow Bear pattern, and the freebie pattern is for Buddy Bear 2.0, which is written by Cassandra of Craftably Ever After here on YouTube. I chose a freebie pattern that's written by Cassandra, and here's my Buddy Bear 2.0. And I love the way that he came out. He's super cute. I chose this yarn because it was clearance yarn from a Hobby Lobby sale, and it was just sitting in my stash and I hadn't touched it yet, so I wanted to use it, and so that's why I chose this yarn. For Buddy Bear, I used Baby Bee Soft and Sleek Baby in the colorway Seafoam Marled for the body. I love this yarn metallic in the colorway Ivory for his scarf. I love this cotton in the colorway Ivory for his snout. Yarn Bee Sugar Will cotton in some kind of pink. It's a scrap pink that I used for the snowflakes on his body. I used embroidery floss in pink and black for his facial details. I used 9mm safety eyes and 15mm safety nose. Now, when I was making Buddy Bear, I forgot to put in his eyes. I guess I was just going to town, crocheting him along, and before I knew it, I closed him up and forgot his eyes. So his eyes are actually glued in. So this is not for donation or gifting. This will be a keep for our collection. And his nose, I'm not very good at embroidering facial details. So, and I tried embroidering his nose. It didn't come out and I didn't like it. So I frogged it and I glued in his safety nose. I embroidered freckles instead of giving him cheeks. I usually give most to all of my dolls cheeks. But this time around, I don't know, for some reason, I decided to give him freckles, and I love the way that it came out. It's so super cute. So I think what I'm going to do is I might end up doing freckles instead of cheeks for a lot of my amigurumis moving forward. We'll see how I feel. I thought that his body needed a little something, so I ended up embroidering these like snowflakes or stars. And it kind of reminded me of the paid for pattern that you can choose in this crochet along by Lily Lees, because she has like little doilies on the body. So I thought, oh, let me just put a little something. So I figured I'd embroider little stars on here. So I love the way that it came out. Also for his scarf, because my scarf ended up being long, I wasn't following Cassandra's pattern as far as number of stitches for the scarf. I was just going by putting it on there and seeing how it looked. And mine's ended up being super long that I figured the tassels would be a little much. So I ended up not doing the tassels. But had I made it shorter, I think I would have added the tassels because I love that texture look. And then the last modification that I did to Buddy Bear 2.0 is I gave him hair. I thought that was super cute. Just to add a little something, you know? So super cute. So I love the way that he came out. So I used Baby Bee Soft and Sleek Baby, and I believe this is a 4-weight. Yep, it's a 4-weight medium, and he came out to be 6 inches tall. This pattern was very easy to follow. I did not find any errors. It's beginner friendly and it's free. My next finished object is hitting on one of my 2023 goals, and it is first of all, using more velvet yarns, and secondly, making different things other than dolls, amigurumi dolls, but still crochet. So here is my my pillow mood. Isn't he so adorable? Oh my gosh. And then I love his dangly legs. That's my favorite part of him. Or her. Whatever. It. We're calling it an it. Now, this pattern is written by Marina Camber of Enjoy Toys Designs, and I found this pattern on Etsy. I used Baby Bee Adorable in the colorway Bumblebee Wings and Angel. Soft and Sleek in the colorway Pale Yellow for sewing the moon up, and I will explain that in a little bit, and Soft Pink. Embroidery floss in black for its facial details. I use a 6mm J hook for the velvet yarn and a 3.75mm for the 4-weight soft and sleek yarn. Without its legs, it measures 13 by 15 inches, and with its legs, it measures 13 by 24 inches. I mentioned that I used a 4-weight acrylic yarn to sew up the body, and I actually decided to do that. But funny thing is, that's what the designer calls for in her pattern, is to use an acrylic yarn. So great minds think alike. Because I have used a designer pattern before where they use this kind of chunky, cuddly yarn, but they still sew with the same chunky, cuddly yarn, and it's just, I think, too bulky of a seam. So in order to give it a low profile, it's better to sew it up, and I think it's stronger even to use an acrylic, a matching acrylic yarn. So yeah, that's a tip for when you're using this kind of yarn, either blanket yarn, chenille yarn, or velvet yarn. I wanted to go as big as possible. I wanted this to be like ginormous so that I can use it as like a back pillow if I put it on a couch or something, that I can lean on it. But I ran out of yarn. I didn't anticipate how much yarn this pattern would eat, and I ended up using, gosh, I can't tell you, I don't know if it was 1 or 2 adorable skeins.
Adorables.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, I can't tell you how many skeins of the velvet, Hobby Lobby velvet yarn I used. I may have used 2 to make it as big as this is. And even then, I'm not even sure if I finished what the pattern had said, but whatever yarn that I had, whether 1 or 2 skeins, I just ended up quitting at that point. So yeah, apparently I'm not very good at keeping notes, and I need to get better at that. But I just love the way it turned out. I mean, this would look great in a nursery, but this is for keeps in my own personal craft room. So he or she, it is going back there. So when I went on Marina Camber's Etsy shop, I saw a bunch of patterns that I fell in love with, and I did buy a bunch. I bought, I think, 4 patterns, and I intend to finish all of them eventually. And my next pattern is one of her patterns as well. And for this particular project, I decided to try out Big Twist Cuddle Yarn. It's the first time I'm trying it. And I decided on using that one because it was on a steal of a deal sale that I could not pass up. And when I saw it, I thought, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to use this yarn for. And this is what it came out to be. Look at how ginormous it is. It's going to push me out of the frame.
That's super squishy though.
And it too has legs. So again, I was trying to make it as big as possible. Now for this guy, he's called Pillow Sun. And for him, I use Big Twist Cuddle in the colorways Gold and Bright White, Premier Basics in the colorways Goldenrod and Rose, Ice Yarns Alara in the colorway Black, and I used an 8mm L hook for the cuddle yarn and 3.75mm F hook for the 4-weight acrylic yarns. Without its legs, he or it measures 25.5 by 14 inches, and with the legs, it measures 25.5 by 26 inches. Now for this pattern, I'm not sure what is going on. I don't know if it's the hook to yarn combination, but for some reason, my son has a little bit of a, if you notice, it kind of dips down here in the middle. So if I were to make this pattern again, I think I'm gonna play with my yarn to hook combination and see if that changes. My only modification to this pattern was making it as big as I wanted it. I think I might have used like 1.5 skeins for this. I'm not sure. Again, I didn't take very good notes. I'm so sorry. I also went rogue on the eyes. Her eyes are a little bit different, just a little bit. But I just placed it however which way I thought looked good to me, and the number of lashes are a little bit different. So I just kind of basically did my own thing for the eyes. I think that was all the modifications. Just the size, I just went up to however until I felt happy with the size. Oh, and I made a boo-boo. I think this is my seam. If you can see right here, I couldn't see it at first when I was trying to decide which way I wanted my son. So yeah, I don't see any seam here, but I do see one here. So that was my mistake, my rookie mistake. So
Your one rookie mistake that you'll ever make.
no, I still make rookie mistakes. So yeah, this should have been in the back. But yeah, I am so in love with her patterns. I have 2 more to go, and I'm super excited to get them started eventually. I bought a bunch of yarns to get them squared away with, but yeah, these are going to be in my collection. One more thing, I did not embroider a mouth. I believe she has a mouth on the original pattern, but I just thought it looked good without a mouth. Good enough. I think I ran out of steam when I embroidered. Because embroidery is not my forte, and it's not exactly enjoyable for me because I find it so challenging. So I think I might have ran out of steam. But yeah, she does tell you where to put the smile, I believe. My next finished object I showed you in episode 15, and I finally finished her, and it is Lucy Leggings by Dolls and Daydreams. And I am so in love with how she came out. She's got some stitchity boo-boos, as I had mentioned before. Like this here, and I think one down, yeah, there's a little boo-boo down here. So this is caused by when I'm trying to bury my thread ends from stitching all the facial eye details and eyelashes and things. I'm trying to bury it into the fabric, but I guess I must have caught a thread, and when I pulled it, it created a hole. So I think what I would do a little bit differently is to maybe travel underneath the eye or travel underneath the hair and try and bury it there so that this is less obvious, or maybe even under the cheek even. But yeah, I think that's what I would do differently. But I am so enamored. I cannot believe I finished my first cloth doll. She's bigger than I had first expected, but I can totally see a kid playing with her. I mean, she's not going to be donated and she's not going to be gifted. She is going to be kept in my collection for sentimental reasons because she's my first. But when I make more of these dolls, I mean, oh my gosh, it's so stinking cute. She's got button details here for, these are button jointed arms, so you can actually move them. And her legs dangle. So stinking cute. I am super happy and I'm excited to make more cloth dolls, not just by Dolls and Daydreams, but I have some books and some other digital patterns that I want to get started with. But yeah, I just love the way that she came out. So the original pattern you make with yarn hair, but I decided I didn't want to use yarn this time around. I wanted kind of like pigtails down low, and so I just kind of winged it when it came to this part. There's a little bit of wrinkling here in the neck. I'm not sure if it's my stuffing technique or if that's just the way that cloth dolls are. So we'll see. And then she's got some wrinkling here, but I'm actually growing to like it because it kind of makes it look like she's got curly hair. But yeah, I'm not sure if I need to trim the seam allowance on the inside more or maybe clip them more. I'm not sure, but either way, it works. It makes it look like she's got curly hair. So super cute. And then for this part, she originally has you like tucking under a hem, but I didn't want the hem to be seen from this side angle, so I ended up doing like double layer of the fabric, and I created a tube and had the seam embedded on the inside so you can't see it basically, and then I ruffled it. I hope that makes sense for you sewers who may be interested in making this doll or any of Sarah from Dolls and Daydreams patterns. She has some amazing patterns. You should go check her out. I may end up buying some more of her patterns. We'll see. But so super cute. I am loving her. And gosh, I look forward to my journey this year in making more cloth dolls and modifying my amigurumis to include more media, fiber mediums like fabric and felt and buttons and ribbons, everything, all the things. Lucy Leggings here measures 19.5 inches tall. That's how big she is. And to make her, I use just regular, I believe this is Kona cotton fabric for her skin, felt for her cheeks and her eyes, I believe, embroidery floss for her lashes. Her hair and her shoes are fleece, and everything else for her body and her clothing is just regular cotton. My next finished object, I originally posted just a little sneak peek on my community tab asking you folks if you had any clue. I posted a picture and I asked if you guys had any clue what this pattern could possibly be, and everybody's guess was pretty spot on. But the number one person who guessed with precision detail was Cassandra of Craftably Ever After. She says it was Pika Pow 3. She's sure of it. And I was like, oh my gosh. She did not just guess Dinosaur. She gave the exact book. Number 3, not even 1 or 2 or just Pika Pow. It was Pika Pow 3. So good job, Cassandra. You were awesome. And so this is how my Cutesaurus came out. I am so in love. So this podcast, I think I'm keeping a lot of these things. Originally, I had intended for it to be donated to my local charity of choice, but Once I started putting on these spikes and the color combination with this like tealish color, I just fell in love. I was like, you know what? Never mind. I think I'm going to keep this one for myself. And then with the facial details that I added, and I actually want to put a bow here eventually. I just haven't found one that I'm happy with, and I don't have the perfect ribbon to make one. So I need to go to the store and then she'll be finished. But I'm calling her finished for this video. But I love the color choices. Yeah, I'm just super, super stoked with how it came out. And then I ran out of this color yarn because it was just scrap ball of yarn that I had in my stash. But what I ended up doing was just continuing on to another color within the color scheme. And it fits right in because it's got like that modern feel to it. So it's like a color blocking together with striping and bold, bright colors. I mean, it just fits right in. I don't actually worry too much about my scrap yarns. I just keep it on the side and I work it into a lot of my amigurumis as I see fit because with amigurumi, sometimes I need something small for cheeks, for example, or just a small little piece, like maybe a spike on a smaller amigurumi. I don't fret too much over my scrap yarns. I just go with the flow and eventually I find something to use it with. It never goes to waste. So my scrap yarns get used without any problems because I work with such colorful projects like amigurumis. There's something I can always find to use my scrap yarns with. So for this guy, I gave her freckles. I gave her some eyelashes. I gave her a mouth, and again I want to add a bow. But other than that, the pattern was awesome. I followed it to the T. um yeah, no modifications. But for Eduardo Cutesaurus, this pattern is written by Jan Schenkel, and again, it came from Pika 3 book written by Jan Schenkel. And again, I will have everything linked down below. For this guy, I used a 3.75 millimeter hook, and I used Premier Basics in the colorways Aqua, Navy, and Cream, Crafter's Secret in the colorway Turquoise, Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek in the colorways Hot Pink, Pale Yellow, and Soft Pink. And I used embroidery floss in the colors pink and black. I also used 10 millimeter safety eyes.
It's a
And then
very
again,
colorful
eventually it's going to have
dinosaur.
a bow. Yes, very colorful dinosaur. And yeah, I just love the color choices. I started off not with yellow. It actually ended up being like a peachy kind of marled colored yarn, and I thought, you know what, I think yellow would be a nice color pop for it. So I ended up taking out the peach and replacing it with this yellow, and I love the way that it looks very modern and fresh. So I'm super happy with the way that it came out. So Eduardo Cutesaurus, when I measured it came out to 15.5 inches long by 14.5 inches tall. So she's pretty big. One thing I wanted to mention about Eduardo Cutesaurus is I actually ran out of yarn. So let's see if you can spot any color changes anywhere where I might have used a different skein. And I'm talking different brand, um, different color, same weight, but you know, when you're using a different brand, it's totally different yarn. Um, but yeah, so I ran out of Premier Basics Aqua, which is the majority of the body. But I played Yarn Chicken and apparently I lost. And so I had to go in my stash and see if I could find something that matches. And luckily, I was so lucky. I found something. And I went to Crafter's Secret Turquoise, which is a clearance yarn, I believe, because it has a clearance sticker. And it matched pretty much perfect. Like I can't tell. With my own naked eye, I cannot tell. And it is just this bottom panel here. Blends in so beautifully. I mean, you never would have been able to tell had I not told you. So that's something I wanted to mention. My next finished object I first showed in episode 15, which is my last podcast episode, and it is Boba Bear. This pattern is written by Emmy Creations by Chloe, and I love the way that it came out. So super cute. It's a two-piece pattern. You get a Boba Bear and it's Boba Cup. How cute is that, right? Again, I mentioned,
I wish people gave out real boba cups like that.
yeah, with a
Big.
bear in it.
No, okay, maybe not the bear in it, just like that size, you know?
Oh, short and stout and stubby. That'd be
Yeah.
super cute.
A boba mug.
A boba mug. Oh, that would be so cute. We should make a boba mug. That'd be cute. In polymer clay. Hint, hint.
Okay.
Miko makes. So this pattern was pretty much easy to make. I don't think I made any modifications whatsoever. So for Boba Bear, I use Premier Basics in the colorways purple and lilac. I don't know the color of the brown that I use for his body. I lost the ball band for that. For the straw, I use Premier Basics Aqua. And for the boba, I believe this to be I Love This yarn. And I'm not sure what the colorway is, but you can pretty much use any dark colored brown for dark colored brown. I followed the pattern to the T, and I love the way that it came out. I think what I would do differently if I do make this pattern again is just because of the yarn that I used here, it doesn't really give good stitch definition. So because of that reason, I think I would use felt instead. So it would be a flat piece of felt and then either a safety nose or embroidered nose. And it's not Chloe's fault, the pattern designer's fault. It's just my yarn choice. I think if I had used maybe a cotton or a better quality yarn for the body, this brown color, I think it would be, better looking, but it kind of looks sloppy for some reason, and that's the fault of the yarn. I'm blaming it on the yarn, and I can't tell you what yarn this is because I don't have the ball band for it. Um, it may be Premier Basics or Studio Classic by Nicole, like one of those two. That's kind of the reason why I don't like those yarns for my amigurumis personally, because of the stitch definition and the feel and working with it. So, but that's just my personal preference. If you guys use it, it's all cool. I'm not trying to bash on it. I'm just saying for my preference, I would rather work with another yarn, and that's just my preference. But yeah, I think felt snout would look awesome. Boba Bear measures about 8 to 8.5 inches, give or take, with his cup. So 8 to 8.5 inches with and without his cup. And I love the way that he came out. Oh, I also love that I used the pop-up color for his straw, because when Miko and I go to the boba shops, we love picking out the colored
Yeah.
straws for their colors because it's just fun.
Mm-hmm.
And this color is supposed to represent taro boba. It can be basically anything you want it to be, but I just wanted purple for taro. My next finished object comes from this book, which is Crochet Zodiac Dolls by Carla Matrani. And I did show this in my video where I share what I got for Christmas and birthday last year, and I will have it linked down below in case you are curious. And I am in love with her book. I enjoyed this pattern, and it is Capricorn. This is for Miko because she is a Capricorn.
Yay!
And I love Carla's dolls. I love her patterns. They are small-ish and they are quick and easy to whip up. I was surprised at how quick she came out to be. I started her like late midday one day and then finished her the next day by nighttime. And that's with like dropping off, picking up Miko from school, cooking and cleaning and traveling and just all of that stuff. I was able to do everyday life and still do it. I would consider it like a 1 day project. Even though I started one day and finished the next day, I still finished within the 24-hour period with everyday life. I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised that I was able to manage that. And um, normally I make dolls that are larger. So I consider this a medium-sized doll. And that's probably why it's quicker to crochet up than usual, because I usually take maybe about 3 days, I would say, to make the typical bigger size amigurumis that I make. Like, here's another doll for size reference. This is the normal doll that I make. Now, when you compare the two, they kind of look similar in size, but that's only because her horns make her taller and her fins make her taller. But when you take the size of the doll itself, it's pretty significant size change. And I don't know if it's a stuffing or the crocheting or what, but yeah, she worked up really quickly. This one, I believe I did the typical 3 day.
I think she's a really nice size though.
I think so too. She's a very nice size, and it's not like because she's smaller, it's not like Carla refrained from details. Absolutely not. Look at all the details. You're still able to make a nice size doll with a lot of details. I mean, look at this. This is amazing. Normally I make, again, this kind of size dolls. Excuse the shoes. Her ballet shoes are not sewn on, so it kind of slips off from time to time. But look, this is the normal size of doll that I normally make. And again, about 3 to 5 days to make these dolls. One. So I am in love with Carla Vetrani's dolls and patterns simply for the size and how quick and easy they are to make, and without skimping on the details. Absolutely not. Look at all the details. Love, love, love Carla. Big fan. Now for this Capricorn doll, I used I Love This Cotton in the colorways Antique Cream, Strawberry Violet, Clove, Curry, and Periwinkle. I also used Rico Creative Cotton Aran in the colorway White, Baby Bee Sweet Delight in the colorway Angel. I also used some embroidery floss in the colorway Black for her eyelash details and 10mm safety eyes. I also gave her some blush. Now, I did change the nose. Carla does her nose a little bit differently. It does stick out a little bit more, but I wanted my nose to be a little smaller and more dainty, so I ended up embroidering her nose instead. I also thought that when I worked up Carla's pattern, I thought that the head was a little too tall for my liking. So I actually took out one of the building rows where you're not increasing or decreasing. It's just building up the sphere. I took out one of those rows to make it a little bit shorter, and I like the way that it came out. So that's how I modified it, but I think everything else I did the same. What I really love about Carla Metrani's patterns is that I can use 4-weight yarn, and my favorite hook size, which is a 3.5 E hook, and still get a decent size doll. So I don't have to go super big or super small in order to get a decent size. So yeah, with a 4-weight yarn, this is how big she comes out to be. One more modification I did was for the hair wig cap. Again, I sized it to my doll. So whenever you're doing amigurumi, if you're doing clothing or hair, always size it to your doll because everything changes based off of the yarn and hook that you're using and also your tension. So always, always, always place it on your doll, whether it be a hair, wig cap, or clothing as you go along, just to make sure that it's fitting as you go along and you can adjust accordingly. Because I would hate for you to finish the garment or the hair wig cap and put it on and only to find out that it doesn't fit and then you have to adjust after you've done all the work. So for the hair wig cap, I did do one less row because it was getting into her face. So I did do that. I also gave her some eye details like an eyeliner on the top, some white eyes on the bottom, and then the eyelashes and some cheeks. And I love the way that she came out. So super cute. Again, I want to finish the whole book and create the whole series for my own personal collection. I think that would be so super cute. My next finished object is something teeny tiny, and I just fell in love as soon as I saw it. And this pattern is written by Crystal from Chronically Crocheting here on YouTube, and she has a tutorial here for free, and you can follow it, and I'll have it linked down below, but it's for her yarn buddy. And here's, well, okay, so mine's is not a yarn buddy because I didn't put eyes or a mouth on mine. So mine is just a yarn skein. And I think I just didn't put a face or eyes because I was too lazy. So, but my intentions for this is to put it on some kind of keychain or something and then attach it to my luggage so that when it goes through, the carousel when you're picking it up, I can find it because it's nice and bright against the black. When you're looking at the carousel, there's a sea of black luggages. Yeah, that's mine. So I wanted this to pop. So for my yarn buddy, I decided to use some bright colored yarn. And this one's a color changing one. And it turned out like this. But I love the way that it came out. You should watch her tutorial. It's so super cute. She gives you so many ideas on how to use her yarn buddy tutorial. It's just amazing. She's very creative, very imaginative, and I mean, it's so simple, but yet so stinking cute. I mean, I'm like, why did we not see this or have this in our lives sooner? It's so stinking cute. So yeah, mine's is gonna be a luggage dangly thing so I can find mine. So for my yarn buddy, I used Karen Simply Soft in the colorway Times Square and white. I used a 3.5 millimeter hook, and mine came out to be approximately 3 inches long. My next finished object I first showed in my episode 15, and it is My Pretty Brown Doll by Yolonda Jordan. But here's how my pretty brown doll came out. She has a tutorial, a free tutorial here on YouTube, so you should go check her out. She's also a bestseller author of My Pretty Brown Doll book. And I don't own her book, so I wanted to try one of her patterns, and I figured, what a great time to follow her tutorial. And so this is how mine came out. I love the colors. Now, I watched one of Yolonda's videos, and she mentioned that bright colors are totally in. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna use bright colors. Now, this is not what I would typically choose, but I love, 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 love the way that it came out. And so I went with this yellow, and I just love it. I love when I try new things that I wouldn't typically do and then get surprised by the results, like a pleasant surprise. Like I love it. For this pattern, I did modify it quite a bit actually. So for her, let me see. I'm gonna push her tutu up. Excuse me. Um, I did make her legs. I attached her legs differently just so that she could sit. So she's a sitting doll. And I also modified the shoulder section. If you look at Yolonda's pattern, she actually crochets her doll's arms into her doll into one piece. But I wanted my shoulders to be a little bit smaller, little like more traditional, typical amigurumi, just because that's what I'm used to. And so I actually made the body, I continued it up here. It's a little smaller than hers. And then I just sewed on the arms like how I typically do, like typical amigurumi construction. But her construction is very different. If you want to try something new, I would suggest that you check out Yolonda's video because she does do something different that you don't see very often. I have tried it before on one of my older dolls, but this is just what I prefer. And so I did it this way. I also reinforced the neck, glue gun glue sticks. I know that Yolanda prefers wooden dowels, so that's what she suggests. Um, but I did do a glue stick, so mine is it's still firm. I mean, you can still bend her neck and her head and play with it, but the head always snaps to the middle. That's why I prefer glue sticks over anything else. I also gave her so with the eye details, I pretty much went rogue and did my own thing. I know that Yolanda uses felt, I believe, for her white eyes, but I used yarn for underneath the eyes and black um, embroidery floss for the top and the eyelashes. And then I embroidered her nose and gave her some cheeks with just a little smidge of pink embroidery floss. And then also for her outfit, because of the assembly that I chose was different. I don't have sleeves on the arms or the a proportion of her chest, so I ended up giving her some straps for her tutu, or is that what you call it? Or is this bottom part just a tutu? Whatever, her dress part. But I love, love, love the tutu portion. It's so stinking cute. And Yolanda doesn't attach it like how was it I was expecting. Normally you'll see like a front loop that you attach the tutu to, but you can actually this is removable. So I kind of like that aspect of it. I can just pull that out and the tutu is removable. I'm not going to do it right now, but what I love, love, love about the way that I made the legs, and I didn't discover this until I was playing with it, an adult woman playing with a doll. I was playing with her, and to my delight, I actually split her legs like she was doing the splits, and I was like, that would make such a cute photo. So I love, love, love that. Not only can she sit, but she can also do the splits. This is so stinking cute. So that was a happy accident um, or realization that I made. So I'm super happy with the way that she came out. I am in love with Yolanda's pattern. Now, at first, I was unsure about the proportions of my doll's arms and body and legs because I had modified it. And I was kind of skeptical with how things were going to come out, but I went with it and it came out just fine. So I'm super happy with the way that she came out. For my pretty brown doll, I used Premier Everyday Worsted in the colorway Peacock, Lion Brand Skein Tones in the colorway Mahogany. I love this cotton in the colorway Black. And for her pom-pom bun, I used a Hobby Lobby yarn, but I can't remember what yarn it is. But it's my favorite yarn, black colored yarn to use for my black doll hairs because it has so much texture. But I'm sorry, I can't tell you what the actual yarn is. If I do find out, I will try and link it or mention it down below. And then I use some Premier Everyday Baby. It's a 3-weight yarn in the colorway white for underneath her eyes, and then some black embroidery floss for her top of her eyes and eyelashes, and then some pink embroidery floss for her cheeks. This is just some organza ribbon and some tulle. I think it's like maybe 6 inches wide, something like that. But super love, love, love. And then you wrap the tulle around the same kind of organza ribbon that I use for the tie-ins there. But I'm super happy. Yolanda, your pattern is awesome. And I look forward to making more of these, especially with the split legs. My next finished object is a UFO from my episode 1. You'll have seen her. And I actually finished her. Now this is going to be towards my 2023 goals, is trying to get that UFO number down. And I finally finished her and I'm super excited. So here's my Supergirl doll. And I went rogue with her hair because the pattern wasn't very specific on how to do her hair. And I love, love, love the way that the designer had made her hair. I just couldn't replicate it. The instructions were lax in that department, which I was very disappointed in. I wish that she had more written instructions as well as step-by-step photos that we can actually follow to replicate. But I did end up making her hair like this, and I still put beads because that's how the designer did her hair. She put beads in the hair, but she had kind of like an updo to her hair. I just ended up making her long hair. But I love the yarn that I use for this. Now this is the same yarn that I used for the pom-pom of the last doll that I just showed you, but this is how it looks down as long hair. And look at this texture. Isn't it just gorgeous? Absolutely gorgeous. And I'm sorry I can't tell you what the actual yarn is. But for this pattern, because I had done it so long ago, I can't tell you what I did differently or my experience of it all. But I will tell you right off the bat, if I were to make this again, I will make this band lower. It looks too high. And I did follow it according to pattern, but now that it's made up, I'm like, it needs to be lower. Definitely. So that's what I would do differently. But I love the cape. The cape is removable. And I love the rainbow detail. And I do love the look of the beads in the hair. Now this I found at Hobby Lobby in their beads section. And I just kind of winged it. I think what I did with this was I used black embroidery floss and just basically tied it onto the thicker strand of yarn and then weaved in the ends into the yarn. So that was needless to say, time consuming and very tedious, but I love the way that it came out. Oh yeah, so because this yarn, I attached each one individually and it's already full, like the hair is already full. So if I did the whole wig cap, if I had covered the whole wig cap, I'm not sure how big her hair would be. But I pretty much just did like the perimeter as far as I thought it looked good and covered enough. So you can't tell when it's pulled back. And I think it's enough hair that a child can play with and put up if she wanted. I'm just not good with playing with hairstyles and things. But yeah, lots of hair. They just have to be careful of this open, bald area, if you will. But I think what's going to happen with this is I'm going to donate her to my charity, my local charity of choice. And yeah, I just love, love, love her hair. Now for this doll, I used Loops and Threads cream cotton, and I can't exactly tell you the colorways. And I don't have the ball bands. I suspect that while I was making this doll, I just kind of threw it off to the side somewhere, dismissed it. I have no idea. And these look like a combination of either Lion Brand anti-pilling yarn and or Premier everyday worsted anti-pilling yarn. That's what these look like. I also have a button here that I sewed on that makes it removable. I did my usual eye detailing. This looks and feels like I love this cotton in a pale yellow. That's what it looks like. And the skin also looks and feels like I love this cotton. So the dark colored brown. And then my usual eye detail, I usually use like a 3-weight, any 3-weight white colored yarn and embroidery floss for the black portion of the eyes, and then pink embroidery floss for the cheeks. I super love the way that she came out, but again, I just wish that the designer had given more detailed instructions for the hair specifically, because the hair is actually the reason why I wanted to buy the doll. Specifically for the hair. I loved, loved, loved her hair, but I couldn't replicate it for the life of me. So I'm disappointed in that respect. Now this pattern is written by Damla Savas, also known as Yesil Tospa. I know I'm probably slaughtering the name and I'm so sorry, but I will have everything linked down below. I love the way that she came out. Super cute. Last but not least, I do have one more whip that I just started, and it comes from this book, Crochet Iconic Women, again by Carla Mitrani. And this I also did mention in my What Did I Get for Christmas and Birthday of Last Year video. And I started a Queen Elizabeth. She lives in this project bag that I made myself. This is what I have so far. So I've got her body, most of her head done. And I've got her arms, both of them. I've got her hair started, but not finished because I need to size it. And I just had melted the backs of my eyes. I had to melt it before I could proceed with the hair. So I just melted it, and then I sized this according to the size of my head. And here's the beginnings of her hat. I'm still not finished. So this is what I have so far. Partial hair, partial hat, partial body. If you are curious as to why I have saran wrap on my body, is because I use Hobby Lobby's I Love This Cotton for many of my amigurumi dolls, and when it rubs against my body during construction, I notice that the yarn tends to pill. So in order to minimize that, what I do is I wrap my bodies in saran wrap so that when it rubs against me, I won't have that issue. So, tip. That's all that I have for you this episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. all the things. Share it if if you have friends or family that are interested in this kind of stuff. And if you liked this video, please check out some of my other videos. I have a playlist of all of my podcast videos you might want to check out if you enjoyed this one. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.